Good evening, and welcome to Football Dad's Army's GUNNERCAST, the first Talk Football Premier League show. I'm sorry for being a bit late, a couple of technical issues, but we've managed to solve them. It's not your fault, don't worry, it's no one's fault. It's a few little technical issues, but we're in there, and we're going to talk football, we're going to talk Arsenal, and we're going to talk the fixtures and the results, and how the first game week one panned out. And it started on Friday, obviously, with the champions Man City beating Burnley away 3-0. So that was a great start for them. Haaland off to a fly with 2 goals. I can't remember who scored the third one. Was it Cancelo?
No.
Rodri. Sorry, Rodri. Was it Rodri? Cancelo's not there. What am I talking about? It was Rodri.
Honestly, don't remember. Huh?
I think it was Rodri.
I honestly can't remember.
Yeah, but they got off to a good start, didn't they? Man City. I mean, as I said, Pep did say at the Charity Shield match against Arsenal, against us, that they're 2 weeks away from being completely ready, but they look ready to me on Friday. And that was just a week later. So, what did you think? Did you see any of the game, Dan?
But you're missing the obvious. Yeah, but the obvious thing out of that one was a Kevin De Bruyne injury, right?
Kevin De Bruyne, yeah, he's out for about 4 months, 5 months, they reckon.
Is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they reckon he's out for about 4 or 5 months. So, they could be looking into the market again, Man City. I don't know if they could be going for Lucas Paqueta from West Ham. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I think they were going for that anyway. But, I mean, he's not a replacement for Kevin De Bruyne. No one's a replacement for Kevin De Bruyne. That's why they've got to keep hold of Bernardo Silva. But if they play Silva in that central position where he wants to play, who are they playing on the right? Because you can't go into a whole Premier League season with Cole Palmer just as your only right-sided midfielder.
Well, yeah, they're going to have to dip into the market, but that's their problem, not ours. We've got our own problems. We've got our own problems. Unfortunately, at first of all, it was thought to be not so bad, but now I've heard it's an ACL injury. I
think everyone thought it was bad straight away. Like you don't. I mean, the telltale signs are he goes down with no one near him. He goes on his knee.
No. What I'm talking about is he come out for the second half, didn't he?
Yeah, he came out for the second half. But did you want him to come out for the second half?
No, I thought he'd be. I did think he'd be sub, but he's notorious for keep playing injured players. Like Saka was getting kicked the shit last season, and he kept playing him. And
there was that game against Villa where Saka looked like he'd been injured out of it, and then within the last 20 minutes he looked busier than anyone. I think that they apparently. The doctors checked him out. The physios checked him out. They couldn't see anything wrong. But then you wouldn't see anything wrong if it was an ACL or if it was a meniscus. And then, he's said, I'm fine. I'm not here to sort of blame anyone, but I do think there'll be an inquisition into, what's the point in playing him in that second half anyway?
Well, no. They've got players on the bench. Kiwior was on the bench. Tierney was on the bench.
Well, Tomiyasu. You brought Tomiyasu. It's funny how the game changed when he brought Tomiyasu on, because obviously Tomiyasu's starting position was a lot further back.
Yeah,
and it changed the angle of the game. But I'm gutted for Jurrien Timber because of the 3 summer signings, he's the one that probably got the least fanfare and confetti thrown. But he's the one who's played every preseason game. Only one of those on the right back. He's absolutely shook up the way we saw cover for Zinchenko, cover at right back, cover at centre back, and somebody who looked like he's really come to play. Yeah. Gutted to lose him. But we're now in a situation where there's 2 weeks of the transfer window left. The problem that existed before we signed Timber now still exists. We do have to fix it. And the 2 that I'm hearing a lot about are Ivan Fresneda and the one that I would go for, which is Emerick Laporte.
Laporte's he's a centre half though, and he's not a fullback.
No, I mean in that sense, we're not really talking about fullback.
I know he's left-footed. I know he's left-footed.
Yeah, but Lee, we're not talking. This isn't a world in which we're talking about full-back in a 4-4-2 or a centre-back in a 4-4-2 where you're playing direct football of the 1980s or whatever. This is, if you look at the positions that Laporte has taken up in his last season at Manchester City, they're not that different from what we've been asking Timber to do, or what Zinchenko might do. So yeah, Laporte can definitely play there. He's 29. He's available for 20 million. And even look. Honestly, even if he can't play there, we know he can play on the same sort of fullback positions the way Pep plays them. But even if you didn't put him there, you'd still put him there, and you could then you could move other players around. Our big problem is, look, we've got strength in depth on the left and right and in the centre with Timber that we don't have without him. So if something happens to Tomiyasu again, that means we've got one recognised played right back. Now, I think Rule Walters will get some game time this season, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. But realistically speaking, you can't ask an 18-year-old player to come in and dominate in games the way that you would expect someone like Timber to be able to do.
Yeah.
So we need a right back cover.
We need a right back. So I was looking at right backs a few years ago, and I liked. There's a player. I don't know if he's still there, but no, he's called Max Aarons. I liked him. And Tariq Lamptey wasn't a bad player either. I'm not sure where he's gone there either, but they're not at their. I'm not sure if he's still at Brighton, Tariq Lamptey, but Max Aarons was at Norwich, but obviously they're down in the Championship. I'm not sure if they're still there, but they wasn't inverted like right backs like Arteta likes. You know, they're more of like, you know, the overlapping fullback running down the wing, more like the style of Kieran Tierney. So I'm not really sure. And we know that Arteta doesn't fancy Kieran Tierney at all. He's like fourth choice now, left back, and he can't invert, and he don't like it. I don't think this new inverted style that everyone seems to be playing lately. So I don't. They're not feasible options now, I don't think, because Arteta doesn't fancy an out-and-out right back, you know, that runs down the wing, crosses in at the byline. So I'm not so sure who we could get at right back. Who would be a great option? I can't think.
Well,
I know Thomas Partey played Thomas Partey at right back, didn't he?
No, he didn't. He played him. No, listen. That's just not the case. If you look at where Thomas Partey played in the game, he didn't play right back. When they read the team sheet out, people look at it and go, "We've got to have a flat back four," but we don't. So where you?
Yeah, it is strange.
It's much more.
The second half, it was a back three, wasn't it?
If you wanted to put on a heat map where Thomas Partey played, yeah, and for good reason, because in most of the game, the only two players that were in our half were Saliba and White. Most of the rest of the team pushed up. You had Saka. We're trying to gain space on the width. So you had the Saka on the right. You had Martinelli on the left, give them more freedom to roam. But this idea that Thomas Partey, if you went up against Man City and you wanted to play a right back and a left back, you're not playing Thomas Partey there. No,
I know. I get that. I'm saying when the team sheet came out, I mean, I was looking. He was playing on the right hand side. Thomas Partey at the start of the game. He did invert went into the midfield for the majority of it, but it was with all due respect, it was Forest. It wasn't really a problem.
That's what I'm saying. So he's not played as a right back. He didn't play as a right back. He wasn't a right back. There wasn't a left winger that he was marking. He didn't spend any of his time on the right hand side of a defensive unit.
Yeah.
He spent his time in their half, and he did that just inside on the right defensive midfield where he'd play in a double pivot. I don't think that Thomas Partey is an option for us as right back. Certainly not one that any of us want to take quickly. If we're up against a team with active wingers, busy wingers, let's say you've got Mo Salah type players, you know, Diaby type players. You're not putting Thomas Partey in there. He's too easily exposed. We are exactly where we were before we signed Timber. Yeah, everyone's thrilled that we signed Declan Rice because that was a position we needed to replace Granit Xhaka and hopefully advance. But we last season didn't fall apart because of Granit Xhaka or that position. We fell apart because we had been conceding goals down the left, and now we started conceding goals down the right as well. And there were sloppy mistakes, and there was heavy-leggedness, and there was nerves and all of that. But if you want the full confidence of an entire season and you're going into it, we'll have to buy in January whether we want to or not. If Timber's out for 9 months, we haven't got the squad depth that we thought we had. We have to act to do something about that. We have to bring in somebody to cover centre back and or right back.
Yeah. Yeah. So who do we go for?
Well, I just said Laporte. That's
could he play? Well, yeah, I suppose. Could he play on the right?
Yeah.
Okay. See,
it's like you keep saying, can he play on the right? Like we're talking about a fullback. You know,
yeah, that's what's in my head.
Man City. What's Pep Guardiola doing for fullbacks?
He's playing 4 centre backs.
So could Laporte play as one of the 4 centre backs? Yeah, he has been. That's what he's been doing. So yeah, Laporte can definitely do it. Whether Pep will sell him to us is a different issue.
Yeah, that is a problem because I don't think he. Very sorry, Dan. My daughter just started making loads of noise in the kitchen. I just had to turn her off. Sorry. She knows what I'm doing and all. She's doing it on purpose, I think. Little git. Yes. Where was we? I'm lost.
Yeah, you were asking if Laporte can play at left.
Right. But yeah, because I am thinking of him as a a full back.
Yeah, it's just silly. It's just not how we play. Like
it's not. Yeah,
we don't play a flat back 4, so you don't need. We need right. So let's say Gabriel doesn't go off to Saudi, and I don't think he will. But let's say
that's something I was going to mention to you. What did you think of that?
So if he doesn't go to Saudi, so we've got Gabriel and Saliba. Let's say normally our first choice centre backs.
Mm-hmm.
If Gabriel gets injured, you've got Kivior you can bring in. But if it's a long injury, then Kivior's got to play that place all the time. You've only got White and Tomiyasu that could come in.
Yeah.
Well, if White and or Tomiyasu come in to cover, then you've only got one right back. You've only got one person who can play at the right. We're a man short in defence, whichever way you look at it. You asked me if Aymeric Laporte could play fullbacks. Last season, he played 12 times for City, and he basically played on the left. He basically played on the left hand of 3 centre backs, right?
Right.
And he's quite close to the touchline. So yeah, I definitely think he could. Would he be the sort of player I'd play out there if you had a nippy winger you were up against, again, like a Diaby or sort of Mahrez type that City actually really badly need at the moment? Yeah, probably I wouldn't. Probably I wouldn't play him in that game. I might even play Tierney in that game if Tierney stays. But we are 100% one man short in the centre back and right back positions. We're actually all right on left back because we've got Tierney. If Raw Waters comes good, then we might have extra cover on right. But to be peace of mind for a title challenge, you have to bet against. You have to expect the unexpected. Something bad is going to happen. Every team's going to get injuries. You were talking about it earlier before. The kind of injuries we've seen in Tyrone Mings at Aston Villa. That's a huge problem for them. I know they've bought Pau Torres, but Pau Torres versus Tyrone Mings, the big difference is heading ability. They've lost. I mean, it was really funny because when I saw he was injured and went off, I started thinking it could be 4-1. And it was a mauling. Look, the scoreline's not fair on Aston Villa, it really isn't. But at the same time, it's not completely unfair either. They weren't at where they needed to be, and that's a brand new defence.
Yeah, well, I've got a bit of egg on my face because I tipped them to get in the top 4 to finish 4th.
They still might. It depends on how Torres does. And look, Emery's not a bad manager.
He's a very good manager, yeah.
But he's rapidly trying to upgrade a Villa side that, all good managers come into sides that they need to do some work on. There's very few managers come into a side that's done and dusted. You just have to, he's brought in players. He's brought in 3 big signings. Yuri Tielemans, who I don't really think is the answer. I don't think he's got the legs. Pau Torres, who is a really good defender, but you would not want him normally to be the main header of the defence.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Moussa Diaby, who got off the score sheet within first 5 minutes in the Premier League. I think we're all tipping him to be one to watch this season.
Definitely, 100%. He's in my dream team.
He's a great player, and if he can adjust, and the questions are about adjusting, aren't they? You adjust from Germany to England. We've seen how difficult. It's funny because I watched the Super Cup. The Bayern played against RB Leipzig for Harry Kane's first game on Saturday.
Oh yeah, they lost 3-0, didn't they?
Yeah, but I mean, even before he came on, it was a mess. And Tuchel, to be honest with you, I don't know how long he's got in that job if he doesn't. I mean, the players are not playing for him at the moment. That's fairly obvious. And but you see how people. The natural narrative is Harry Kane goes to Germany and he will score a sack of goals, and he might do. But it isn't as simple as going, you score goals in England, you score goals in Germany. And it doesn't work the other way around either. There is a lot of acclimatization. There's a lot of new types of things to adjust to. Moussa Diaby, I think, has a real chance at Villa. But I feel for him after losing Mings.
Yeah, I feel terrible for him. I was intrigued to see Tielemans and McGinn in the midfield because I think McGinn's a great player as well. I think he's a very underrated player.
Great season.
Yeah, and who's the other one? Luiz.
Douglas Luiz is out. Yeah. I mean, he's someone I'm surprised that the money that players are going for at the moment. If you think Liverpool are in for Lavia and they might not get him, and there's that whole fiasco around Caicedo, Lavia both going to Chelsea. So where's the talk around Douglas Luiz? Go and stick 60 million in front of Villa, see if they take it. Maybe they wouldn't, but if you said to me 60 million for Luiz or 60 million for Lavia, I'd choose Luiz all day long.
I'll go Luiz because he's obviously Premier League. He's better. He's been in the Premier League for 2 years, isn't he? Is it 2 years or is it 3 now?
No, definitely 2, but hang on.
Yeah, I think it's 3. But Lavia, yeah, they just got relegated with Southampton. He had a decent season, but for the money they're asking for him is ridiculous. They don't forget they're in the Championship now as well. Caicedo, Chelsea and Liverpool were at hammer and tongs. 1 minute he was going to Liverpool, 111 million accepted, and then Caicedo said, "No, I want to play for Chelsea," but he keeps changing his mind. Yeah,
done. Caicedo's done.
Yeah, I know, but he kept changing his mind about who he wanted to play for.
I don't think he did.
Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal.
Leah, why did you say that? I don't think he ever changed.
Because that's what was reported. He said something about loving Liverpool or Man United.
And then Man United, but that was 6 weeks ago.
But now he loves Chelsea.
There's a picture of him in a Chelsea shirt. But I think Chelsea did the work on this one. You can't just go chasing Lavia and decide not putting the right money in for Lavia and then suddenly turn all your attention to Caicedo when Chelsea have done all the groundwork and have gotten a personal agreement from him already.
That's what they did, though, didn't they?
Yeah, but it didn't work. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do it because you're not allowed. I'm saying, what's the point if it's not going to work? It's like when Man City come in and go about Declan Rice. It's like the guy's decided months ago where he's going. You're on hiding to nothing there. Caicedo, when Liverpool's bid was accepted, it was Caicedo that said, I've got really less interest in going to Liverpool than I have to Chelsea. And, Brighton are like, well, if they match the bid. And then Chelsea didn't look like a flip-flop at all. And as for Lavia, Liverpool have kept him dangling for the last 2 months. And then suddenly they come back to him. He might be thinking, what is going on? Liverpool is a mess right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Because it's one thing to say they've brought in Szoboszlai and who might be a star, could be a star, and obviously McAllister. who could be a star, was a great player at Brighton, but they've lost Milner, Fabinho, Henderson, Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain. It's just ridiculous to think that Liverpool, because they haven't had a sporting director for 2 years, or that one worth their salt, but they knew this situation was coming in August last year, and they've done nothing about it. And now I don't think I'd want to go and play at Liverpool.
Yeah, it's strange. It's a strange run with Liverpool, isn't it? It's got to be. There must be problems on the board there somewhere. I think it must be very frustrating for Klopp. I mean, I've seen other channels and people calling for Klopp's head, saying that he should go. If you don't get, if it's not successful this season.
Look, whatever else happens at Liverpool, they need to do a rebuild, right? Is Klopp the right man for the rebuild? Yeah, but you've got to give him players. I don't think there's any chance that FSG are going to let Klopp go. The problem is they've stumped up the money. They were asked for 110 million for Christ's sake. They've put the money up. The board have done what they wanted. We're at Arsenal. Edu goes and talks to Declan Rice. You know, there's a whole team of people around the technical sporting director or football director, whatever you want to call them, that is in charge of making sure the manager's got the squad he needs. And at Liverpool, they've been through, I think, 3 different directors in 2 years, and not one of them has actually brought anyone in. So now they don't have the squad they need, and it's 2 weeks from the end of the window. And anyone they bring in now, they're going to be over a barrel because people want silly money. If they went in for Luiz now, Villa would say, look, you've given us no time to replace him. We want 100 million.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to do deals at the moment. You're looking for teams that need the money, and there's fewer of them than there's been for a while. And you're looking for, I mean, there's Barcelona. I don't know, who there is at Barcelona you could get in. But Liverpool are in stuck now. I think Chelsea are, but they don't have European football to contend with. They've got a good squad. You can't take that away from them.
I've got to say something. I've sort of changed my mind about Chelsea now. I'm thinking about they might even get into this top 4 because I didn't. At first of all, I thought, no, I don't think they'll do it this year. But I'm looking at their squad now, and especially if they get Lavia as well.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
that's not how football works, mate. Like it's not a game. It's not like FIFA. You don't just get they've got to gel. They've got to know each other.
I know, but they're decent players, aren't they? I know.
So the fact that they've got a great squad of players is not substantially different from last season. Look at the players that have left Chelsea, right? Mason Mount, Kovacic, Kai Havertz, N'Golo Kante, Koulibaly. These are world-class players. And they had them last season and it didn't happen. So just thinking, oh, look, they've gone and got great players. I think Caicedo's suspect. I don't necessarily think he's worth more than Declan Rice when he's had one good season in the Premier League. People always do this. They always go, oh, he's amazing. Enzo Fernandez, amazing player. Don't get me wrong. But it's not 5 years we're looking back on thinking he's brilliant. They did this with, look at Cucurella when Chelsea signed him at the beginning of last season. He's an amazing left back. He's an amazing left back. Well, is he? Look how many players look at Romelu Lukaku. Look how many players they buy that on paper you think, oh, this team will beat anyone, and then they never do. So
they've got a decent manager now, though, as well.
Huh?
Do you like the manager, Pochettino?
No.
Do you rate him? You don't rate him?
Well, all right. For me to rate a manager, right? What have they got to do? They've got to win something. What's he won?
Yeah. Well, no, he hasn't won anything really. He hasn't won anything in the Premier League, has he?
He hasn't
won any cups.
Look, compare Unai Emery and compare Pochettino. Right? Unai Emery's won what? 4 Europa Leagues?
Yeah.
1 Liga in Paris.
3 one after the other, wasn't it?
Right. So what and then another with a different club. So what do you say about that? How do you think Pochettino? Why is everyone talking about Pochettino like he's a world-class manager? He got Tottenham to the Champions League.
Yeah, and they were shit in that final. They got beat by Chelsea, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool, yeah. I think with the team that he had, I think he done well in the Premier League, getting top 4 all the time. I know top 4 is not a trophy. I know the old thing. I know that. Arsene Wenger invented that.
He didn't resign from Tottenham, Lee. He was sacked.
Yeah, he was sacked. Yeah,
he wasn't sacked because they were on fire. He was sacked because it looked like they were falling apart. So he he had a good short spell at Tottenham, produced great football, had a real spirit, but that's it. Like, I don't think that's enough to judge someone a good manager. You have to give me something for me to think Pochettino's a good manager. He has to do something a good manager would have done. He had. Look at the players he had at Paris Saint-Germain. Look at the players he had, and he couldn't get them in the Champions League. So what? You give him the same? I think it's a Todd Bowley move. This, isn't it? He turns down Luis Enrique. He turned down Luis Enrique to hire, just absurd to me. I think Pochettino. I think people will all be at the end of the season. People will be scratching their heads, going, "Oh, why did that go wrong?" And I'll tell you why it went wrong. Because he's not that good. You have to now give him total control, total in and out control of that club. And he's going to demand some time so he can get the team playing how he wants them to. These players haven't played together. Put an 11 together at the Chelsea team that have played minutes together. Be really tough. I think Jackson looks really good and Nkunku looks really good. I think that Enzo Fernandez is an outstanding midfielder. Him and Caicedo be really interesting. But there's still gaps in that squad. You've got Thiago Silva's 38, nearly 39.
Yeah. And Nkunku's injured.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah,
that's another player that's injured.
You have to look at the fact the World Cup was when it was, and I don't think anyone's had long enough recuperation. I think that there's got to be a point.
That's probably a big issue, that the World Cup being in the winter. So not really. Yeah, you're right there, because it sort of messed up the season completely, didn't it? And it made the season a couple of weeks late as well. Go on for a couple of weeks longer than normal. And
you look at me, and then you look at a player like, I'll make like, there's a couple of them in there that have done really well with the Euro under 21s, and now they're stuck in it. Palmer, the keeper that went to the City keeper that's gone. Oh God, where'd he go? Played on the weekend. Trafford. Anyway, but there's a lot of young players that have not had a good rest. Saka has had a couple of weeks or something.
That's weird, isn't it?
We ask a lot of these young men. We ask
that Trafford, the name of that keeper, Trafford, Man City keeper. Strange. I found that funny.
And we, the most important factor for
You seem to be losing your connection, Dan. Dan? Looks like we've lost Dan. Are you back?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you're back. But I missed what you were saying there, because it sort of went off.
Yeah, I was saying that fatigue is the number one reason why players get injured. So you don't want to play them 10, 11 months of the year, really. This is what I think about Tielemans. Tielemans is a player who had a lot of games at a very early age. He was playing pretty much first team football from 16, 17 years old. And I think he's 26 now. And I think you're starting to see he doesn't have the same energy, and he doesn't have the athleticism that you would expect of a 26-year-old. People always look at age. They don't look at games played.
They're supposed to be peaking then, aren't they?
Huh?
Supposed to be at their peak about 26.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you're at your peak after a certain number of games, not after a certain number of years. If you don't play a competitive game till you're 26, it's probably not going to be your peak either. You have a certain number of years that you're at peak physical condition, but that comes from, stamina improves the more you play actual games, and then you get to a dropping off point. Everyone has this kind of peak, right? I think Yuri Tielemans is the wrong side of that peak. I think that's why Arsenal weren't ultimately going to go for him, and doesn't have the legs. But there are positions like, I don't think Harry Kane is a particularly peak of his physical, but he could still have a great career at Bayern. I don't think he will, but he could. I think for players like, when you hear people going on and on about how Saka should be at that kind of money, you should be fit enough to play every week. Fine. But then you've got to put up with some long injuries. I think you look at Ousmane Dembele. at Barcelona. I mean, he's left now. He's gone to PSG, but the time he spent at Barcelona was just it's a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Disaster for injuries. These are players that are overplayed. He was overplayed internationally and for his club team. Eventually, something goes, doesn't it? Yeah. I'd like to see us adopt the sort of Manchester City approach, where most of the first team get about 2,000 minutes a season. Not really much.
Takes it very well. That's one thing he does very, very well. One of the things that he does, I shouldn't have said the one thing. One of the things that he does very, very well is his rotation of the squad and managing the minutes of the players.
Yeah,
I think he's very good at that, Pep.
Yeah.
And Arteta's trying to adopt it. I think it's trying to clone him a little bit, and put his own spin on certain things. But I don't think he's really got to grips with it completely yet. I know he's trying, but I don't think he's really. There are certain players that do get played. I mean, you want to wrap him up in cotton wool a little bit more, protect him a little bit more. So maybe he's still got a lot to learn. Arteta, I don't know. I'm still fully behind him for this season. No, I'm not going to be swayed yet. I know it looks when we went up against Forest the weekend, I was a little bit worried about him dropping Gabriel and making Saliba play on the left side of the centre back, but he was just experimenting again. It seemed to me that he was sort of treating it more like an experiment rather than a real game, like a pre-season game. But I was a bit concerned. I thought we did drop off a little bit. We was rattled when they got a goal back, but we did manage the game well. At the end of the day, we just sat back and we just managed it. We didn't try and get another goal to make it 3-1. We just took control of the game, but just nullified their counter attacks completely, and we got away with it. But a couple of years ago, that we could have quite easily drew that game or even lost it. So so there is a vast improvement. So let's have a quick talk about the other results. Bournemouth drew 1-1 with West Ham. West Ham have just signed James Ward-Prowse now, haven't they?
Don't know.
Brighton beat Luton 4-1. So Brighton are still playing very well, but albeit against Luton, and Brighton was at home. But I don't know. I'd see some of the highlights of that game, but I didn't really think much of what Luton.
I was driving. It's funny. I was driving past the Amex when the game was still on, and I think there was a missed penalty as we were driving past.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's Luton, and Brighton played well. Obviously, they dropped Caicedo, so we all knew what was coming. Yeah. I mean, I would still say for me, Robert De Zerbi isn't necessarily going to have. I think they're not going to have as good a season as people think, Brighton, this season. Although I will say this, Ferguson, I really like the look of. Everyone was a couple of weeks ago talking about Mitoma to Man City.
Yeah.
And for me, I kind of want him to sign Mitoma because I think he's great to watch. He's really exciting, but his end product is not there. And see, there's still some really good players at Brighton, but I think they need to bring some players in. Milner, obviously, a good signing for them.
Yeah, they do need to spend some of that money they've got anyway, because otherwise they're just gonna drop off, aren't they? They're not gonna be able to build on what they achieved last season. They made Europa League, didn't they? Brighton,
yeah.
Yeah. So they've got to think about that as well. So they've got European games.
Well, they've got money. They've definitely got money.
Yeah, well, I know, but I mean, there's only 2 weeks left that they're going to get. So we have to wait and see.
Listen, they've got players that I'd like. I mean, I like Brighton, so I'd like to see them bring in. But I think for me, still not sure about De Zerbi. I think he's got a blow up in him. I think he could have a bit of a. I think there's not quite one voice coming out of Brighton. It's a little bit like, he's saying things like, "We need new players." I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, they beat Luton. I think Luton. We all think Luton are going to struggle this season.
Yeah,
So,
have they? They've not got their own ground sorted out yet either, have they?
not, but they've got time to do it.
Yeah. Fulham beating Everton at Everton, which there's no surprises there really. I think Sean Dyche.
Well,
I don't think he'll last the season there.
Yeah, I mean he'd be one that you'd think would probably not make it through the season. Everton are dreadful. Everton are dreadful.
They're terrible. But do you know? Guess what? When Sean Dyche went there, the team they played was Arsenal last season, and they bloody beat us. Do you remember?
Of course I do. It's the first game. Yeah, like there was a little.
Dyche's first game, they got the new manager Booth, and they beat us, and then I don't think they won another game since.
They didn't score another goal for like. I mean, there was one other goal they scored because when they played Man City about 6 games after they played us, and they'd only scored one other goal in that period.
Yeah,
they were dreadful up front. They're badly missing players. The fans. I mean, I thought the fans were brilliant when we went up because you're right. They just hired Sean Dyche. Lampard had just been let go. I did a video about it at the time. It could have been really tough. The fans could have been really kind of on the back to the players, but instead they got right behind them, and we just didn't turn up properly.
That's right. That is right. So, Palace beat Sheffield United 1-0. There was a little bit of
Yeah, Edouard. I mean, he was a player that when Hodgson took over, he started to play again. Edouard? They've got some Eze. Eze was outstanding. I mean, look, the newly promoted.
Eze's on his way. I think he's going to go to. Sorry. I think City are interested in Eze as well.
Yeah, who knows?
Is it either Eze or Elise? I can't remember what one it was.
Elise. They were after Elise, but I don't know why more people aren't because he's another great player.
I think he's a good player. I really do. There's a little bit of a handbag with Hodgson as well, wasn't there? That game.
Yeah, I was on the road.
Hodgson showed that I know he's an old man, but he showed he's still got a bit about him.
Yeah.
The surprise result for me was Newcastle beating Villa 5-1. I tipped Villa to get into the top 4 this season, and hopefully they still might. They've got a good manager, but Newcastle look good as well to me. Eddie Howe looks hungry. The players look hungry. They look good to me.
Well, I mean, I think you're doing a lot of you're reading a lot of the season into one game. Honestly,
yeah, I'm just saying what I think about the results.
Yeah, but next week Newcastle lose, and you'll be saying, "Oh, they don't look good. They don't look so." They beat Villa 5-1, but that wasn't the score when the Mings went off, was it? So it's 2-1, and basically Villa fell apart. The whole plan of the game falls apart. Their only really good header at the back isn't there, and Newcastle, let's have it, actually going to Park. That is one hell of a tough place to go. They've got new signings. There's a positive attitude. Like in the first 6 minutes, Tonali scores. He was a big question mark for me. What a goal he took is really beautifully. Then you got Barnes scored on the day. Who else scored? Isak, who I think is one of the best players in the Premier League. If he can stay fit for a full season here, it's going to be hard to see anyone. Many who finish above him in terms of goal creation and scoring. So Newcastle, a great team. But I think that when something like what happened to Mings happens in a game, the scoreline does not reflect that game. If you think it's like when Everton beat Brighton just before we played them, and they beat them 4-1 or something. You looked at it and you thought they had 4 shots and they scored all of them. I'm not saying it was as bad. I'm not saying it was as bad at Newcastle, but like saying that when you were saying, "Oh, I tipped Villa to be in the top 4 and everything," this doesn't necessarily change it. What changes it maybe is the injury to Mings. But if Mings was ready for the next match, I'd say it's an aberration. These games happen. Teams still getting to know each other. I mean, it was a bad result, but I think the worst part of that result is the player they lost.
Yeah.
And he's out all season, isn't he?
Yeah, he's out for the season, Tyrone Mings. Sorry, I just got to get me pumped. I'm coughing a bit now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that was the last game that was on Saturday, and then we move on to Sunday. I watched this game, Brentford Spurs. It was 2-2 at half time, and then the second half. I wanted to turn it off.
Yeah,
It was. I wasn't.
First Tottenham manager since God who that doesn't have Kane to call on.
Yeah,
they've just made Son captain.
Yeah.
It was funny for me, and obviously I have no love for Tottenham, is that they've gone and got themselves £86 million for Harry Kane. Who on earth are they going to spend it on? Because Richarlison's still not scoring. They've spent 60 million on him. They're not getting 60 million if they sell him. Who are they playing up front? They've got good players there to a degree.
Kulusevski's good. He was decent in the first half. Kulusevski.
Yeah, he's all right. Yves Bissouma is all right. Heung-min Son's a really good player. They're not They're not like top half of the table Premier League. And Postecoglou, he's got his work cut out for him, isn't he?
I've got a sneaky feeling. I know you might think I'm mad, but I've got a sneaky feeling they're going to go to Ivan Toney for January. I think they're going to hold the fire, and I think they're going to go for him.
Yeah, who knows, mate? There's such a long way to January. Who knows?
Get that, but I just think you know what he's like, Daniel Levy. He's not slow at coming forward, is he? And telling people that no, that's it. I want more money. He hung his Kane deal out for as long as possible, and now there's only 2 weeks.
Think about it. Talk about Daniel Levy being a good businessman. He got 86 million. There's two ways to look at it. You got 86 million the year before. He would have got nothing. So that's good business.
No, that's great business. But the point I was trying to make,
million, which is about 20 million less than Caicedo. You got one of England's top goal scorers of all time. Goes for 20 million less than a 21-year-old Ecuadorian who's had one good season. I don't know if that's good business. I might have kept Kane for the year. I might have just gone, look, do us a favour, stay and then leave and go to Real Madrid or whoever the hell you want to go to.
What they've done to themselves is where they've left it for so long, they've not left themselves enough time to replace him, I don't think.
Even if they
not adequately anyway. And that's why I think they're going to go for...
say something happens and the season gets paused for the next 2 months, right? There's another pandemic or something, heaven forbid. You got 2 more months to find a replacement for Kane. Who are you going for? Who are Tottenham? If time is the factor, who is there that you think that they can go and get?
The reason why time is a factor, because they can go for anyone they want. Nothing stops you from bidding for a striker that you want to go for.
They went for David Raya and he turned them down.
Yeah, I know that.
They're going for players. It's not a question of them going for players or not. They're being turned down by players because no one wants to play at Tottenham.
Right, there's got to be some players that would want to go there. That's why you have a scouting group.
There's always been players that want to go to Tottenham, and they've always bought them, but those players have never been good enough.
No, that's true.
So look, we're in this situation now. I'm saying honestly, you've got 86 million quid. Use all of the Harry Kane money. Go and buy someone. Who do you want? Rasmus Højlund costs 72 million quid. Right? That's who they're in the market for right now. That's the striker market. Is Osimhen's 140 million and won't go. Who is there? Who are we all talking about? Who can Tottenham go and get? You mentioned him, Ivan Toney, and the reason you mentioned Ivan Toney is because everyone's always talking about him. Ollie Watkins ain't leaving Villa. Brentford have got. Down the league, the teams that would be selling. Who's selling strikers? Where are the strikers?
Well, I don't. Well, there ain't any really, is there? That's just quite few and far between at the moment, isn't they? Decent strikers anyway, like good Premier League level strikers, and then the strikers that are already at the clubs don't want to sell them. You're right, they don't want to let them go because there's no one to replace.
So it comes back to my question: you're Tottenham, you got to replace Kane. You got 86 million quid to do it with. Who are we talking about? Even if they I know they've only got 2 weeks, but if they had 2 months, I don't think they'd find anyone. Who are we always talking about up front? What are they going to get Balogun? Do you think they'll sign Balogun off us?
Well, that was tatted,
Maybe
but
Romelu Lukaku.
Lukaku.
Maybe that's the answer. They've tapped Chelsea up for Romelu. You know, like or
Well, he obviously doesn't want to go back to Chelsea, does he?
Well, he isn't going back to it. Even if he wanted to go back to Chelsea, he's not going back to Chelsea. But that's not the. But so that's how ridiculous we're talking now. Romelu Lukaku or Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney can't play until January.
Yeah, no, he's suspended. Yeah.
So why buy him now?
Well, I'm not saying buy him now. I'm saying save the money till then.
What do you do for
or buy him now for January? You know, like so he's guaranteed he's going to come. He can sign the paper and sign the contracts in January, but always like agree to fee.
Tottenham losing 8 or 9 games by then.
You reckon? I hope so.
Oh yeah, of course I do.
Yeah,
I think we could lose 8 or 9 games. I don't look at that squad and think I think even if Postecoglou turns out to be world class as a manager, and he ain't, he's going to need. Every manager needs time. This is why the most successful managers in history, with very few exceptions, take over at clubs that have done badly, because there's time. You get time. Taking over from a club that's doing well, like David Moyes did at Man United, it's nightmarish, because you don't get 6 months to a year to turn it around. Arteta, if he'd come in straight after Wenger, he would have gone the same way as Unai Emery. What happens is you have these players, Bruce Riochs, the Unai Emerys that come in, and everyone goes, right, this isn't better. We need something different. But their standards slip. So you go from, we want Johan Cruyff or, the best manager in the world, Luis Enrique. You go, like, just give Arteta a chance. Or, Postecoglou is that man. He's not. I think he's lucky that he's coming into a Tottenham team where the fans' expectations are so bad. It doesn't even feel like any of them think there might be a chance to get into Europe. They want to believe in this Postecoglou revolution where he's going to get them playing dynamic. I'm hearing it all over the place. Tottenham fans talking about, don't care if we win or not, we just want to play good football again. And you go, that's the start of the end, isn't it? The beginning of the end at Tottenham is that you just want to go back to being the occasional cup team, not a top 6 team.
I'd rather not play. I'd rather play boring football and win trophies and win Premier League.
There's a balance, right? But winning,
you want trophies, didn't you? That's the idea.
Of Arsenal, it was boring, sorted out the back, made sure we were impossible to beat, and then progressively got on. Then obviously that fell apart a little bit under George Graham, and he left, as we all know. And in comes Bruce Rioch, who steadies the ship even further and adds Dennis Bergkamp and David Platt to it. But then, with that solid base, you can build from there. That whole project, you could see that as a 10-year project. Postecoglou is not going to get anything like the amount of time that he needs to. There's no characters in that team. There's no leaders. Who's the captain? They're making Son the captain. I think he's a great choice for them, but I can't think who else it would be. Dyer?
Yeah, does he play every week, Dyer?
Not on my team.
No. All right, so let's have a look at the other game. Chelsea-Liverpool, 1-0. Same thing, 1-0 in the first half.
Fascinating that these two teams should be playing each other at exactly the time where they're going toe-to-toe in the transfer market, where they're swinging punches at each other.
Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp comes out, says every Chelsea manager gets the players he wants. Always a little bit, it's like when you think this is the guy who bought, Virgil van Dijk for 70-something million. It's not like Klopp hasn't had the players he wants. They are in a mess right now in terms of the transfer market, but I don't know if he's worked out whether he should be playing Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield. I don't know. That's a very light midfield at the moment. And what if one of those two gets injured, McAllister or Szoboszlai? So for Chelsea, it's like all the bits of the jigsaw puzzle are just all over the floor, and you've got to work out how to put them together. And at Liverpool, it's like there aren't enough pieces to ever put it together. I think Jurgen Klopp's committed.
That's a very good analogy. I like that.
I think Jurgen Klopp's committed to the rebuild.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a point where it's just that problem of if you're a football club, you have people whose job it is to go out and negotiate. The way we signed Declan Rice is that we were talking to him for a year.
Yeah.
Making him feel part of it, making him feel wanted, making it clear where he would play, making him promises, sorting out the personality issues. And you can't do that in 2 weeks. You can't do that in a month. So given that that's how long Liverpool have got left, they've got to be looking at least to January with a very, very short squad. Right?
Yeah.
And then you've got to start now trying to find the players in January. And January is the worst time to sign a player. So Liverpool versus Chelsea, I think both of these two both these clubs had a bad. I can't wait to see what happens if Chelsea fans start getting on Poch, because what's he got to do? He's got to pull off some results, And Kunku's injured. God help him if Jackson gets injured, because that's another. They're another club that need a striker. I mean, I know they've got one of the world's most expensive strikers, but one that they actually want to play.
Yeah,
fascinating that they played each other when they did, and that the result was a draw. Because
do you reckon if Liverpool would have beat Chelsea, say 4-0 or something like that, do you think Casido would have gone, oh, hold on a minute, I might side for Liverpool instead here?
Well, make that decision make sense. Make it make sense. For me, Caicedo, it's like when Ranieri was talking about leaving and it was Man City and Chelsea, and you think, like, someone needs to talk to him because you're not getting in that team. You're not going to play. Caicedo has turned down a chance to be a regular starter at Liverpool in a team with the. I think if you're a player, you should go and play for managers. And just on that, so if you wanted to be the best player you could be, and your choice was Pochettino or Jurgen Klopp, and you chose Pochettino, I think you wanted to stay in London and you wanted the money. Liverpool are in Europe, Chelsea are not. Make it make sense. Caicedo could have a bad season or two at Chelsea and be stuck there.
Yeah,
not playing. Huh?
8-year contract.
I don't think Caicedo's on an 8-year contract.
He's not on an 8-year contract.
No, I don't think so. They've made those.
Well, no, they was going to make a rule. They was going to limit it to 5 years, weren't they?
Yeah, that's right. Because
did they actually do that? Because I think someone said to me today, is he on an 8-year contract? I said, I'm not sure.
He's not on an 8-year contract. Moses, I'll look it up, but he's not on an 8-year contract. I think it's 5. But that isn't even the issue. The issue is, look at Cucurella. Don't spend 106 million on Caicedo. He's got to play all the time, right? And what if he's not playing that well? Could happen.
Yeah, really could. And then we had last night's game, which was apparently, I didn't see none of it. Man United beat Wolves 1-0.
That was a shocker. That VAR decision at the end that should have been Onana comes out and just clatters. There's not even, you couldn't even, I just thought Wolves looked so good. Man United made Wolves look so good. Cunha, the midfield running of that Wolves team. I really want to see Gary O'Neill do it with this lot. But they looked so much better than they've looked under Lopetegui. And I know Lopetegui's a great manager and he didn't get the credit he deserved for steadying that ship. And when he came in, they were almost down. So Wolves, I really loved watching them yesterday. That midfield was empty, and I'm starting to think, are Man United totally over relying on a couple of players? Because Mason Mount was average. Anthony came off. Jadon Sancho came on. No, Casemiro looked like he was trying to do too much yesterday. I just thought overall that should have been a 1-1. I was sure it was going to be a 1-1 because it was a nailed-on penalty. It wasn't any doubt at all about that. How VAR looked at it and said that there wasn't something to give a penalty there.
Yeah, I read that in the paper. Sorry, I'm having a bit of trouble when we breathing again today.
Yeah, sounds bad.
I read that in the paper. How he clattered. He come out. Was it a corner? He really come out and punched the ball out and clattered the.
He come nowhere near the ball. He didn't come anywhere near the ball at all.
Oh gosh!
He's
in my dream team as well.
And the what, Onana?
Yeah.
Really?
I put him in my dream team as the keeper. Yeah, I had Ramsdale last year.
Wasn't he really expensive?
No.
Oh, right then. I'd take him if he wasn't expensive. No, I don't. I haven't got my team yet, so I haven't even started yet. But no, it should have been a 1-1. And Man United, unless Rashford looked all right. There was a chance where he was through on goal where he should have done better. Anthony looked like he was better than I've seen him, but still no end product. Fernandes, I just don't see him as a captain. And there were a couple of balls through where he just never had control of the midfield. It was like they just had this huge circle that Wolves kept running into in the middle of the pitch. And they were carrying the ball beautifully well. It was exciting to watch. Brilliant stuff, but robbed. Absolutely robbed. Should have been a 1-1. And when you look at it, you think Man United just failed to play well against Wolves at home. Don't fancy it.
Yeah, but I backed them to come third again.
Yeah, I think I did. I think they're third in.
I think our top three were the same because I said Arsenal, City, Man United.
Yeah, it was close for me. Second and third, it could be Man City, Man United, or Man United, Man City. So I definitely put them up there. And I think the difference is that Ten Hag is a really good manager.
Yeah.
You know, he is a really good manager. The only thing I could see there is he's appointed the wrong captain. He must have done. Maguire still hasn't left. And there's still not the players that should have left.
Ain't he going to West Ham, Maguire?
Not necessarily. I might have fallen through, apparently. But he still hasn't, either way. So...
I hear Zinchenko's back fit as well.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I heard that. I think AFTV said that. You know, Robbie? He obviously was in.
Robbie.
Yeah, he said something about Zinchenko being fit again. Well, so hopefully, I think who we got next? Is it Palace?
Yeah, on Monday.
On Monday, yeah. Hopefully, whatever, because we know Timber's going to be out for length of amount of time.
It could be a year. Timber, I mean, it
depends how bad it is. Knee injuries are always a problem, aren't they? They recurring a lot. Well, once you do your ACL,
if it is, we don't know. No one knows. Man, it's not like us. It's not like Arsenal come out and tell you what these injuries are. Exactly. Saliba was injured, and they were like, hopefully, it won't be too long. And then it's like everyone going, "Oh, he's not going to play this season again." And then before you know it, the season's over and he hasn't played again.
Yeah.
I think Timber. We're not going to see Timber again till this year. I don't think. But then who knows? It might not even be It might be something really trivial. You just don't know. I'm gutted for him. I'm really gutted for him because he's the brightest player in the preseason. He's the one that I was most excited about, and he's such good cover across the back four. And 2 weeks to go before the transfer window closes, we do need to do something about that.
Yeah, let's hope we do. Right, that's about it for tonight, Dan. I think we've covered all the games. We've covered all the issues at Arsenal. Thank you so much for coming on my channel.
As always.
This is Dan the Gooner from the Gooner channel. Go to his channel at the Gooner channel, and you'll find Dan's channel. Brilliant channel. Very talented YouTuber, up and coming. I think your channel
gives a big up.
I think your channel's brilliant, Dan. I really do, and I think the way you do your videos is amazing. And I wish I was as good as that. But anyway, maybe I will get there one day. So thanks for having you on the channel. Stick a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, young channel, same as Dan's. Subscribe to both. Get it put out to other viewers. We need to expand. We need to grow, and that's the whole idea of doing the channels. And we want your opinions. Stick a comment in. Let us know what you think about anything we spoke about. Let us know what you think. And I'll thank you in advance. Dan, I'll see you soon.
See you soon, mate.
Good night. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.